Many times, because of the terrain or obstacles in the backcountry, we have to approach high to short streets. Some other times we come from mountains, high elevation, and the landing strip is way below and we can end up pretty high. And by mistake we can end up high at any airport. This video is about being high on Final. Some techniques so you don't land long or have to go around. And I use a flight simulator to show some errors. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is pretty good, and I've been a flight simmer before a pilot, and I still fly flight simulators quite a lot. This is Sullivan Lake State Airport in Washington State. I came from the high mountains, so I ended up a bit high. So that means I have excess energy. I do sleep, and then I will do a mild S-turn to burn some altitude and land safely. Now we are going to experiment in the flight simulator what happens if you try to push down the nose, try to make a runway. This is a Cessna 172 and it only has 30 degrees of flaps. Compared to my Cessna 182, which has 40 degrees of flaps and the MT propeller, which adds a lot of drag, this airplane is more slippery, so it's more difficult to slow down. If you see the airspeed indicator, you can see we already are faster than the flap limitation speed. We're going to touch down long at fast speed. So this will happen, then try to do a go around. Another backcountry strip. This is Bandera in Washington. Again, we have tall trees, so we need to approach a bit high. What I try to do is come very slow to flaps, 40 degrees of flaps, and I will control my speed with the yoke and my altitude with the throttle. I will only lower the nose if I want to get some speed. When coming this slow, the sink rate is high, so at the end I add some power to soften the landing. This is a very tricky one in the Cessna 170B. The trees are not that high, but they are very close to my landing zone in the gravel bar, and it's on a dogleg, so I have to come high, but I cannot come down that slow because it's on a turn, so it's pretty tricky and you have to be very careful on the turn at slow speed. An approach to an uphill landing gives you an illusion that you're coming too high, and it's easy to come short. get to know your airplane and fight that illusion if you're flying into an uphill strip. So this one is really a normal approach. Initially looks high because of the illusion, but in reality was a normal approach. Here is a view from the outside on another strip that is landing uphill. Even filming from the outside looks like the airplane is coming too high, but it's just an illusion. This is Sirena Station in Corcovado National Park, Costa Rica. The trees are very tall. If you do a trade-in, it can be done. I've done it many times, but I found a gap on the left side that allows me to come a little bit lower. And since this is a short and rough strip, it's very narrow, I want to come as low as possible. So use the terrain to your advantage. This is Skycomish State Airport. It's pretty similar to Bandera, also in Washington State. Again, it also has tall trees, so the approach has to be done a little bit high. From this angle you can see how I manage the yoke. Think of this as a throttle. When I'm pushing, I'm accelerating. When I'm pulling, I'm slowing down. And also I'm controlling my altitude with the throttle. You can see my eyes are looking straight ahead. I'm not looking at the airspeed indicator. I'm flying by angle of attack and also by feel. Here we are in the simulator again. We're going to simulate being high on Final. This is Courchevel in France, in the Alps. So the pilot is trying to make S-turns to lose altitude and speed. This kind of scenario has happened in real life many times. Trip is in Costa Rica. It has some power lines nearby and big trees. I like to come very high, and the way I do this, I come slow and I don't point the nose down because I don't want to gain so much speed. It's not that long, so even I'm coming steep, I land slow. Here we are again in the flight simulator. This is Annecy, near the French Alps. The scenario we're going to try to simulate is the overshooting of Final and trying to save it and the spin. This kind of accident has happened many times. Airplane is full flaps, gear down, slow, and the pilot overshoot Final, and then he tries to save it, banking at slow speed, and then that introduces a spin and stall. Usually it's a pretty bad accident. in this case the pilot is high, so he's trying to extend base to lose altitude. Then he initiates a turn to the left, and when he sees that it's too high and overshot final, he tries to turn more. That's when the spin happens. It's always safer to go around than trying to save a bad approach. This is Red Horse Ranch in Oregon. It has the tallest trees I ever seen on an airstrip. You have to come pretty high. What I do is a slip to lose altitude. So on these approaches from high altitude, the idea is to never push the nose now because you will get too much speed. This is the same landing looking from the cockpit. So ideally, if you approach too high and you don't like what you see, it's just better to go around and it is safer. Many times pilots try to save it and they get into trouble. Hope you guys enjoy and see you next time. Thank you for watching and please join me on Patreon. It is very easy to join. To be a patron of Backcountry 182, go to the YouTube channel. On the right hand side there is the link, and then it takes you to the Patreon page. Here you can see all the tiers and what is all about the support for Backcountry 182 YouTube channel. Also, another way to access the Patreon link is in the description of the video I put in YouTube on Backcountry 182 channel. There's a link for Patreon, so just click on that and it will take you to the page. Thank you for watching, and it would be amazing if you guys are interested and give some support.